What's going on, y'all? I'm Brandon Atlanta Man Bang, coming to you live right here at Coach's Corner, the center of the universe, Thunderbolt, Georgia. Another installment of Rubbin' and Grubbin'. Rubbin' is racing, grubbin' is tasting. Hope everybody's having a good Wednesday night out there, man. We got a lot of news to go over, recap that Clash race, and hey, we're getting ready for that 500 this Sunday, man. So if you're new to tuning in or you watch the show all the time, you know how we like to start it out. We're going to start it out with the word of the day. So the way you do this is basically Lawrence is going to throw a word up here. Every time I say that word during tonight's broadcast, you're going to take a sip of your favorite adult beverage. I always like to say it's age appropriate as well. If you're under the age of 21, hey, it's Wednesday, man. Get an energy drink, get some sweet tea, some Kool-Aid, get jacked up, stay up a little late, do your thing. So last week's word of the day, let me see here, it was Clash. So headed into that race, I'm sure I said that a few times. If you played along, probably had a pretty good buzz. So this week's word of the day is going to be, I have no idea, but every time I say it, take a sip of that beverage, y'all. So getting right into that NASCAR news, man. Look, hey, got the season underway. 2023 is officially underway. Had the Clash last week over there at LA, man. What a race it was. Awesome, awesome race. Martin Truex Jr. came home victorious. Got a little bit more about that Clash a little bit further in the show, but hey, man, 19 starting it out good. Got him a little win under his belt to come into that 2023 season, so. Kyle Busch in the rap sheet. Hey, man, I don't know if anybody read about this, but Kyle Busch seems like he got in a little bit of trouble with the Mexican authority here back in January. Had a handgun on him coming back through customs, which we all know they fly private, I'm sure. So coming back through, got caught with his pistol, which, hey, I can't blame him, man. I mean, you know, after being caught up in the Mall of America shooting last year, and who needs a gun in Mexico, right? I mean, you know, with everything going on there. I mean, it's not like you need bullets or a gun there either. But they got in a little bit of trouble, paid his little fine, man. Moving on forward. But like I always like to say, man, family and self-safety, priority number one, man. So I'm not going to be mad at him for that. So a little bit of more newer news here, if you will. Alex Bowman and Daniel Suarez both signed extensions. So Alex Bowman signed up all the way through 2026 there at Hendrick Motorsports in that 48. Ally also signed on an extension, so they're going to be there for the long haul staying with Hendrick, which you love to see, especially in today's day and age. We see so many teams, as we've seen with Gibbs. We know FedEx is leaving this year. M&M's pulled out, you know, after last season. So sponsorship's hard to come by, especially long term. We all know Hendrick Motorsports is a great organization, one of the top tier. Also going to represent that sponsor very well with Alex Bowman. So hey, you know, at the end of the day, man, a couple young drivers getting to showcase that talent, getting those extensions. I mean, a big thing there at Trackhouse for you know, Suarez as well. I mean, I think Trackhouse is you know, moving in the right direction. I think last year caught a lot of people off guard just how good those cars were and the alliances and affiliation that they had. So at the end of the day, I mean, you got to look at it like this. You know, both those drivers are going to represent their teams well. Both of them are going to probably get a win under the belt. I'll say it first, probably going to get a win under the belt this season, if not multiple. So we just have to stay tuned to see what they do. But good news on that front for both those teams and Trackhouse and Hendrick Motorsports for sure. So switching gears, getting into a little SRX news, man, adding some more drivers. You know, Kenny Wallace hopefully joining on to run the season. Who knows if he does every race, but they got a hell of a lineup over there in SRX, man. So you got to give Tony Stewart some credit for going out and getting all these caliber drivers from all different forms and styles of racing. I mean, Keselowski, Haley Deegan, I mean, the Ryan Newman, Bobby Labonte, the names go on and on and on, man. So past champions in different sports. So big shout out there to SRX and moving to Thursday night, which I think is going to be awesome. I think that's going to pay dividends not only for them as a brand for SRX, but also that viewership as fans. I mean, Thursday night, let's be honest, there's not much going on. Tune in, see some badass dirt racing. I mean, come on, man. You know it's going to be a good show. So I'll be watching for sure and keep you updated on any new driver news or anything going on SRX as we move throughout the season too in that NASCAR news, man. So I do want to say, if you haven't yet, please go out, like, share, follow, all that social media. You guys still see the helmet there. I'm telling you, we need 35 more subscribers before this helmet gets given away to a random subscriber there. Like I said, hit that YouTube channel, like it. Share it, subscribe to it. Make sure you put hashtag Larson in those comments. I mean, we're going to count everybody in, but make sure you put that hashtag Larson. Really neat helmet. Like I said, I think it's one of 100, you said? I think it's one of 100. Comes with a certificate of authenticity, autographed by the man, the myth, the legend himself. Replica of that 2021. So definitely make sure you do that. And also do have to give a big shout out there to Island Shuttle Boat Tours out here off of Wilmington, Whitmarsh Island area. Mr. Dan Folds used to do the show up here with me, a good buddy of mine. line. He's also doing a giveaway, you know, helping out. He's going, hey, man, if you guys go on, subscribe, let me know you subscribe. Going to give away a sunset boat tour for up to 6 people, man. So make sure, if you haven't yet, go check out Island Shuttle Boat Tours. An awesome thing. Dan and his team do an amazing job. Definitely put on a good time. So make sure you go out and like, share, and follow all that social media for them as well, man. So gotta do it. Like I said, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, most of all, Twitter. Me and Lawrence both on Twitter, Rubbin' and Grubbin', and myself. But at the end of the day, make sure you go hit that YouTube channel and subscribe. Like I say, the more eyes and more subscribers we get, hopefully the more money we raise for these charitable events here at Coaches, man. So with the Daytona 500 right around the corner, man, we got a lot of guys trying to qualify. I mean, of course, we know Jimmy Johnson's coming in. We got, you know, Zane Smith. We got Chandler Smith. We got Connor Daly. I mean, we got a lot of guys. A couple guys kind of backed out, kind of lost that ride throughout. But I think that this is going to be some of the most guys that we've had try to qualify. I think we're up to 44, 45, 46 cars now trying to make it into that 500. So we'll definitely have a 40-car field, which we love. This is NASCAR's Super Bowl. Big payday for any of those teams that start this race, especially some of those underfunded single-car teams or, you know, just smaller guys. So always a big deal when a lot of guys line up to try to qualify for that 500. So we got that coming on later on tonight, I think 8 o'clock, 8:15. So make sure you tune into that. I'll go ahead and make my prediction. I say Chevy wins the pole for sure. I just don't see it. I'm more interested to see if Alex Bowman can keep that streak of front row qualifying going. That's a really neat streak he's got. I think it's really cool. Chevy's going to be fast for qualifying, man. So I'll take a Chevy to sit on the pole for that Daytona 500 for sure. So new driver in that 38 team, as I mentioned earlier, I just brought it up, man, which is kind of a raw deal. Todd Gilliland kind of caught a bad deal there, man. Zane Smith is going to be driving up to 6 races in those cars, and that 38 car as well. Didn't get announced there till after the Clash, which I thought was kind of shitty on that part of it. It was kind of a shitty move. I get it. But I hope the best for Todd Gilliland, man. Hopefully he finds fill-in rides to race a full season in the Cup Series. I think he's kind of earned that. But there again, you know, talent is talent, and it's hard to come by, man. If you don't get these guys in the seat and scoop them up and get them going for your team, somebody else is going to. And we know Zane Smith is talented. We've seen what he can do in the Truck Series. So there again, like I said, I can't be mad at him. I just think it was kind of a raw deal he caught. But at the end of the day, hope the best of luck to him for sure, man. So, as we know, moving forward, man, Auto Club Speedway is going to be off the schedule in 2024, which kind of brings up some things of where are we going? What are we going to do? I'm going to touch base a little bit more on this in just a little bit, another segment of the show, but going to be interesting to see what they do with that track. You know, there's a lot of people thinking it's going to be a short track. A lot of people thinking it's going to be reconfigured into something maybe similar to Atlanta, maybe its own, you know, single new style racetrack. Who knows? But I'll touch base on that in just a bit for sure. So, hey, with Kevin Harvick set to retire, end of the season, didn't take him long to find his next adventure. I'm sure you guys saw this in the news, hopping up in that Fox Sports booth. We know that he's been in the booth before. Happy does a really good job. So at the end of the day, I think it's going to be great for the sport to have a guy that is just freshly out of the race car to be able to kind of explain some of these things with the next-gen car that drivers are experiencing, and just kind of be able to relate to a newer, other than some of the guys that we have there that necessarily hadn't been behind the wheel of one of these next gens, you know, consistently as Harvick has. So we'll have to see how that goes down, but kudos to Harvick, man. I think that's awesome. And like I said, I saw a photo of him and Keelan at, I think it was Tampa Bay Lightning game. I think pretty cool. You're seeing the future there. Kevin Harvick Institute, Kevin Harvick Racing, Kevin Harvick Industries, whatever it's going to be. You best believe Kevin Harvick's probably going to get some ties in there, and who knows, might start a race team when Keelan gets up there and gets of age, man. Pretty good little race car driver. If you hadn't seen him race what he does, man, check him out. So Kyle Busch coming out of retirement, man, to race Xfinity and Truck Series, which I'm kind of torn on this. I think it's good, but it's bad in a way too. So, you know, after we hit 100 wins in Xfinity, he said he was going to retire. He wasn't going to race any longer.
Come on, man.
I have to agree. He's hopping back in with, you know, college racing, which is cool. I think that's pretty awesome. There again, I think, you know, that's a good piece of equipment for him to get into. Out of the 5 races, I'm going to say he's going to win at least 3. I mean, the guy is just awesome in Xfinity. He's awesome in trucks, same thing. I'm going to say at least 3 in trucks too. I mean, if not all of them that he enters. I mean, he's just that good. Knows how to handle those trucks, knows how to wheel and deal in Xfinity as well, and he's in good equipment. So like I said, at the end of the day, look for him to have a strong run in both those series. And like I said, I think it's good. You're going to attract more eyes onto those series to put eyes on some of those younger drivers that are coming up through the ranks with a name like Kyle Busch and some of the other guys, Chase Elliott. You know, I said that a couple weeks ago on Rubbin' and Grubbin', you know, driving that truck at Daytona. When you get those names in that sport, it does put eyes on that series. So which hopefully spreads the love out to some younger guys going out there. You know, I've got a guy that I like in the truck series, Derek Kraus. You know, I think that guy's got some talent. Switching up teams this year as well onto something different. But, you know, I think he's got some talent. You know, showed some speed at Atlanta the past couple of years, man, and we'll see what he can do. You know, I expect him maybe to contend for a win. I like taking him in our game of skill, and I like taking him, you know, betting on him here and there. So we'll see what he does. But like I said, glad to see Kyle hopping back up there, get some eyes on it. And to be honest, I think NASCAR might need to take a look at opening the door for some of these drivers to come in and race some off races, you know, for some smaller teams. I think that's good, not only for the team itself, having a guy like Kyle Busch or Chase Elliott or whoever it may be come in and race that team, race that equipment for you. I think it kind of helps steer your equipment in the right direction, can tell you, hey, you might want to do this a little better, need to work in this area, yada, yada. So at the end of the day, good for both those series, trucks and Xfinity, and we'll see what happens with it. But like I said, take Kyle Busch to win at least 3 of those in each of those, y'all. So getting right into the next segment of the show, Checkered Flag for Charity, man. And I know I said we were going to do this for Danny Monroe. What we're going to do is for Jamie, his wife. We're going to do this for her. As I said, you know, she lost her husband a couple weeks ago unexpectedly, which this is an amazing lady. I mean, she is one of the nicest human beings you're ever going to meet in your life, does anything for everybody, so it's time to do something for her. But more sad news for that family, she actually lost her mother as well. So really having a real tough go of it. So as we all know, the way we do it here on Rubbin' and Grubbin' is whatever car number wins that race, that's what we donate in. 19, a Martin Truex Jr. won the Clash. We all know anything under Christopher Bell is never good enough, man. So that's $20 going in to that swear bucket. Like I say all the time, y'all, nickels, pennies, dimes, 10, 20s, 150s, doesn't matter what it is you have. Make sure if you come up to coaches, stop your server, stop your waiter, your waitress, your bartender. If you see John or Adele, stop them and say, hey, I want to donate, you know, into the Rubbin' and Grubbin' Checkered Flag for Charity for Jamie, you know, Shearhouse Monroe. And they'll make sure that gets to the right people, man. We've got a lot of good things coming up this year here on Rubbin' and Grubbin'. Cooler Full of Joys, beach giveaway. Probably going to have some concert tickets on and off throughout the year here for Coach's Corner. Thinking about some Braves tickets, maybe some Dogs tickets as we get later on in the season. So make sure you stay tuned, stay up to date with everything that we're doing here for the Checkered Flag for Charity. And again, like I say, y'all, this all stays local. Whether it be a family, whether it be an organization, all the money that we raise stays local. Last year was a tremendous year for that family, for Aubrey and her family, and Payson Thompson. That was an awesome deal. None of that is possible without the patrons and everybody here locally at Coach's Corner, man. So make sure, like I say, if you got some extra money, don't be scared to donate. You get a good, feel good out of it, and it's a really good cause. All stays local, y'all. So getting right into the next segment, man, we're moving into that Who's Hot and Who's Not, sponsored by Arbor Man Tree Service. So before we do, got to give a big shout out there to my main man, Parker Eccles, owner-operator over there at Arbor Man. You're going to see that number scrolling all night. Like I say, one of the best tree services in Savannah, insured, locally owned, locally operated. If you need any kind of tree service, doesn't matter what it is, full tree removal, getting some limbs cut back, stump grinding, excuse me, y'all, whatever it may be, make sure you give Parker Eccles, the Arbor Man, a call. As I always like to say, no job too big, too small, give Parker a call. Lawrence actually just had some work done for his mother-in-law this week. Amazing job done by Parker once again. My family's had it done. Numerous people have that we all know. So like I say, make sure you give him a call. Any kind of tree service needs. Parker, I love you, brother. I'll give you a call here in the next couple of weeks, man. Get a game plan together for that Atlanta race, man. Can't wait to hang with you, brother. So getting right into that Who's Hot. I mean, look, man, Martin Truex Jr. in that 19's got to take over the #1 spot, right? I mean, in the Clash, put on a show. Not only did he have really good qualifying speed, really good speed throughout practice, he showed up, man, later on in that race and throughout the beginning part of that race. He showed speed all night. And on a quarter mile, bumping and banging, he had to fight for it, man. So there towards the end, got the lead, ran away with it. Nobody really could quite come back and get it away from him, man. So for a team that didn't have a win in 2022 to come back out and get a win to start out in that exhibition race at the Clash, I think you really got to give some kudos. And when they asked Martin about it, he said, you know, the difference between last year and this year is he's coming into it mad this year. So I'll say multiple race winner this year in that 19 car. I think we counted on it last year just from the past 8, 9, 10 years of watching what he's done in his career and coming on late and just the amount of wins he's racked up. I think we're going to look at that again this season. I think you're going to see that 19 car and that team over there at Joe Gibbs Racing and Martin Truex Jr. have a multiple win season this year. Maybe even contend for a championship, man. I think he's going to definitely make a deep run. We'll say that. I'm saying at least round to 8, I think, if they get it together and keep it together. And like I said, who knows, man? Might be contending in that championship 4 for the championship. We'll have to wait and see. I'm not going to give too early predictions and count that in. I kind of didn't count them in the 4 that I did give. But who knows? We'll see if he gets hot at the right time, man. We know that's all it takes. So RCR Racing, man, has got to make the hot list. The 3 and the 8 both had podium finishes, get 2nd and 3rd place. Look, coming into 2023, that alliance that they have and the Chevrolets do together, I think this is exactly what they needed. Austin Dillon as well. I think that Kyle Busch coming over is going to light a fire under that whole race organization. Not that it hasn't been a good one. We've seen them get wins, especially there last year with Tyler Reddick and Austin Dillon getting a win. I think that's good. But we're used to seeing RCR in the senior days and the Dale Jr. days and just Mike Skinner and all the guys that they've had over there at RCR that won multiple races. So I think for them to get back to being one of the 3 big dogs that we like to say, they're heading in the right direction this year for sure. If they can maintain that speed and the competitiveness that we saw at the Clash throughout the year and show that consistency, get some multiple wins under their belt, better look out, man. I think Kyle Busch especially needed the new. I think things had grown stale over there at JGR, whether it be, just the race team or whether it be, just himself. I mean, we kind of saw the writing on the wall with different crew chiefs every year, every couple years. With M&M's leaving, I think that was kind of the writing on the wall for him there. Not only being the highest paid driver, he said it himself, he was willing to work on his salary. He's got to know his worth. And it didn't take long for Richard Childress to find multiple sponsors. So I'm kind of thinking that Joe Gibbs probably could have done the same thing. But there again, money's money. And Richard Childress got a little bit of bucks compared to Joe Gibbs, y'all. So, anyways, good to see both those cars back running strong. And like I said, as we move forward through the season, we'll see if they can keep that consistency week in and week out and have top 10, top 5 finishes with both of those race cars for that race team at RCR. Ryan Preece, man, makes the hot list, dude. I mean, you got to give this man some credit. Took over that 41 ride for Cole Custer over there at Stewart-Haas Racing. We know that he is a short track specialist. If you go back and you Google and you read his career, that man has won championships in all kinds of different racing on the short tracks. Quarter mile fit right into it. You saw that speed come on late. I don't know if maybe tires wore out. I don't know if maybe the car just went away from him a little bit. But at the end of the day, he put on a great show. I think he finished 6th or 7th there at the Clash. I expect big things out of that 41 car. We know that Kevin Harvick, Stewart said it himself in an interview, they're trying to bring the best equipment that they can competitively for Harvick to have a competitive season on his last. I expect that to spread out throughout that whole SHR team. We know Eric Almirola's future is kind of up in the air. We don't really know what's going on with him as far as retirement. I think he's got a couple years, maybe this year, maybe next year. We'll see. But good kudos to Ryan Preece. Good way to come out and show his worth there at Stewart-Haas and go, hey, I can contribute, even if it's just on those short tracks. But I expect that 41 to run a lot better this year than what we've seen last year with Cole Custer behind the wheel. And not taking anything behind Cole Custer, I think that Stewart-Haas just kind of missed it with the next gen. I think that they went probably to work really hard this winter knowing this is Harvick's last season, last full-time ride. And he said it himself, he's not coming back to do one-offs. This is it. He's not getting back in the Cup Series again. So I expect him to be competitive. And like I said, Ryan Preece put on a hell of a show there at the Clash. So big kudos to him, big pat on the back, man. So that'll wrap it up for the who's hot. We're getting into the who's not, man. And not the way I wanted to start the season out, but I got to put them on the list. I got to be by. Chase the Bulldog, Elliott, man, makes the not list starting the season out. I expected to change coming into Daytona, honestly. The man might take the pole front row. I mean, I'm expecting big things out of Daytona, all right? But it's just not his forte, man. That just wasn't his forte. Raced his way in through that heat race, kind of started in the rear. At the end of the day, man, it's hard 27 cars, it's hard, cautions and getting spun out and a lot of contact, and just really, to be honest, didn't have the car to fight his way back up through there. So expecting that to change. Probably not going to make it too many times this year. You know, once we get rolling in that season, he's going to start counting off those wins. I expect him to go out and get that 2023 championship. I thought he was going to do it last year. Came up a little bit short. This the year, 2023, Chase the Bulldog Elliott, two-time champion, man. You heard it here first. Ryan Blaney, another big name, man. Got to make that not list. There again, I expected to change at Daytona. We know this is probably one of the best super speedway racers that we have in the new age of NASCAR going on. Ryan Blaney is always fast, always seems to find a way, especially at Talladega, to be there at the end. So at the end of the day, I look at it for him to rebound strong, but there again, at the Clash, just didn't have speed. Got flustered there. You heard it. I don't know if you have, but you heard the radio communication going, all right, who the F was it? I need to know how many people it was. You know, chain reaction, just nature of the beast on a quarter mile with that many cars. But at the end of the day, expect bigger and better things coming out of that 12 camp at Penske. They're going to be fast, and I expect Ryan Blaney, again, to be another guy with multiple wins this season. I think he's got to do it. After a year like he had last year, having speed in places, just didn't have things fall his way, mechanical issues, bad luck, or just a wreck, you know. But I expect Ryan Blaney to get multiple wins, and I think that's going to do big things when it comes up time to re-sign at Penske. We know Roger Penske doesn't play around. We know that he wants to win, so you got to win when you're in that Penske car. So we'll see. I expect Blaney to get a couple wins, 2 to 3 this year. You heard it here, 2 to 3 wins for the 12 car, if not more. But I expect him to have a really good, strong year in that 12 camp. So that's going to wrap it up for the who's hot and who's not. Before we get into the next segment, dude, we're going to pause for station identification. I don't have a water up here tonight, but thanks to everybody for tuning in on Wednesday right here on Coach's Corner Sports Network. So like I said, man, Martin Truex Jr. came in with that Clash win. We all know it's an exhibition race. It's not like, you know, a point-paying race, which I really hope it never becomes a point-paying race, but it's a good way to start the season, good way to get some camaraderie and you know, some good stuff rolling over there in your camp. You know, your team's got walking around with a win under the belt, chip on their shoulder, especially the 19, like I said earlier. Didn't have a win last year out of one of those big teams, and this year, you know what I mean? He's got to do it. He's going to do it. So good way to start the season off, not only for him, but his team and crew chief as well, man. So big shout out to Martin Truex Jr. there for sure. So Denny Hamlin looked strong at the beginning of that thing, man. I tell you what, he looked like a, you know, good short track racer. Denny Hamlin is. It looked like he was going to be strong all night. Got caught up there, got kind of shuffled out and pushed out of the way, which is what happens on a quarter-mile racetrack, and just kind of never really came back to get back out and lead that front, you know. But at the end of the day, there again, another strong showing for the 11 team. You know, it's a Clash, man. That kind of stuff happens, so. Speaking of Denny Hamlin, man, Bubba Wallace over there at 23:11 looked super strong beginning, middle, and towards the end of that race. I tell you what, he drove up there and had really good speed, man, which is really good to see. I think 23:11 this year is really going to do some big things, not only with Bubba, but with the addition of Tyler Reddick in the 45. And who knows, you know, if Kurt Busch gets cleared, they're talking about running that third car, you know, and I think that kind of propels into other things we'll talk as we move a little bit further in the season. But at the end of the day, man, Bubba Wallace had a good car. Got caught up there with Austin Dillon towards the end, you know, had some choice words to say there.
Rubbing is racing and grubbing is tasting.
Kind of showed his displeasure, but at the end of the day, when you race side by side, beating and banging, when it comes down to it, man, you're going to get caught up in it. And Austin Dillon didn't hold back. He dive-bombed it in there and wiped him out. So we'll see if payback comes. I don't expect it. I think that after the Kyle Larson incident last year, Bubba hopefully learned his lessons about how to keep his emotions in check and be a professional, which we're going to see as we move forward. But at the end of the day, really good run for Bubba in that 23:11 23 car for sure, man. Kyle Busch, once again, man, found a way to tangle with the 22 of Logano. And look, this wasn't Rowdy's fault at all, man. Logano dove it in there and washed up and door banged him, man, and spun out. Now, I will say this. What a strong rebound by the 8, dude. I mean, the driver of the 8, Kyle Busch, and I'm not a fan, showed that talent that we all know he has. I mean, coming from basically the back all the way back up to the front to finish second or third, second, That was awesome, dude. I mean, come on, man. That man was on a roll there, man. I mean, like, how do you do that? Nobody else could really do that all night long, fighting traffic. And he said it. He goes, I just went where they weren't. Everybody wanted to fight and beat and bang on the inside, and I just drove around them on the outside. And it didn't take them that long to get back up. So there again, I think to expect really big things out of that RCR, the 8 and the 3 this year, for sure. You know, there again, Austin Dillon, speaking of that, podium finish, man, got the medal too. Came in there and showed his word, drove that car good. So there again, like I said, I think RCR is going to be strong. I think Kyle Busch is going to be strong. I don't know how far in the playoffs he'll make it. I do expect him to make a playoff run as he normally does. But we'll see. You know, as we progress into this season, we're going to see what he does. You know, I know super speedway racing isn't exactly his forte. The one thing I think he's missing on that resume is a 500 win. So we'll see how hungry he is. Maybe he goes and gets it done Sunday. Make sure you tune in and find out. So all in all, talking about the Clash, I mean, great entertainment. I mean, that's really what it is, right? I don't ever want to see that style racing become a point-paying race. I think there's still things that we can do with the Clash. I agree with Denny Hamlin a lot. 27 cars is just too much. I think 20 is too many. So maybe next year NASCAR kind of takes a look at it. And again, I know it's drivers and teams and sponsorship and getting their sponsorship into a different market and into a lot of different eyes. There's things that we could do. I've said it. A lot of drivers have said it. You can move the Clash around. But at the end of the day, we do know that contract signed at least for another year, I'm pretty sure. So I'm thinking next year to make some changes to that Clash, which I would like to see, would be one of the things like, you know, we do the heat races, we qualify. If you want to do 27 cars again, cool. But when we get to that halfway point, that break that we take as a stage or halfway point through that 150 laps, we knock that down to 12 cars. We take the top 12 cars, line them up, and they run the last 75 laps, just 12 cars. I think you're going to see a lot better racing. A lot more competitive. You're not going to see the cautions that we saw caution filled, you know, at the hell, what was it, 15, 17 minutes to run 9 laps there from the restart of that second, you know, after that stage break. So there's some things they still got to tweak and you know, change up for me to make it a little bit better as wanting to see the racing. Now, as the entertainment aspect of it, very entertaining. I thought it was neat. I think a lot of people had a good time. I thought the concerts there again is something that was really cool. Obviously in Cali, you know how they do. I mean, Wiz Khalifa, you know, Cypress Hill, even had the guitar player and drummers are all Cali-bound bands, man. So NASCAR's doing a really good job, and I think that as fans, we've got to lighten up when we go, well, I want to see more short tracks. And then when they give you the Clash and they give you this entertainment, we go, well, that's not really what I want. You know, I don't like that. That was crap. That was, you know, this and that. We gotta applaud them for trying, man. So there again, I think that they're moving with the times, trying to do bigger and better things. But agree with Hamlin, agree with Joey Logano, a lot of guys. That should never be a point-paying race, no matter what. That should never be points awarded in that race. 40 cars? Are you kidding me? 36 cars on that? You'd have more caution laps. You'd see 50 green flag laps. I mean, that's all you're going to see. Everything's going to be caution. So, getting into it, man, Daytona preview. Like I said, great American race, man. 75th anniversary of NASCAR. This one means a lot here. A lot of guys want to get their, you know, name on that trophy, man, that piece of history next to the greats. There again, the Super Bowl of NASCAR. Instead of waiting till the end of the season, I know the championship race is a big deal, don't get me wrong, but this is a big money race, man. This is a good way to get your season started out in the right direction. You win this one, you almost lock yourself a guaranteed into those points, you know, into those playoffs, and you can kind of build your program and you know, go for wins. You know, you're already set. So going to be awesome this Sunday. I think green flags 3:30, somewhere around in there. Going to be awesome. Make sure you tune in. Fox, man. Going to be a great show. So, you know, with that being said, got qualifying here later on tonight. We got the dual 125s coming up tomorrow. I think the first one's at 7, next one's at 9. Going to be entertaining. I've been waiting to see race cars all winter long pretty much since they took that break after November. It's going to be an awesome, awesome show. I think that one of the biggest things that we got to look forward to is, are we going to have a repeat winner? Are we going to have a new winner? Are we going to see something, you know, similar to Austin Cindric winning it like last year? You know, it's a wreck fest, man. We know that. All it takes is one mistake by one guy and 15 cars can be taken out. So anybody can go out and win this one. I think that's what makes this style racing so great. There again, this is, you know, the biggest race in NASCAR. So it's sold out, 100% sold out, I'm pretty sure. Infield, camping, grandstands. I don't think there's a ticket available for the 500. So, if, you know, there again, if you got one, going to be a great show, great piece of NASCAR history here with it being the 75-year anniversary. Just a big deal, all in all around big deal, man. So getting into that top 5, I mean, this is a really hard one to pick for, especially we have no data to go off of. We hadn't seen them on a racetrack yet this season. We hadn't seen really what they got outside of the Clash. I can't really consider that. So you just kind of go with history. You kind of go with who's good at this style of racing. We all know Ford has won a lot. Chevrolet's won some, but they hadn't won in quite some time, but they show speed. So getting into that top 5 list, number 1 for me, got to be Ryan Blaney. I know the odds say something very close or similar. Ryan Blaney is a really good super speedway driver. Penske, Fords always have speed. I mean, he won it last year with Austin Cindric. We've seen Joey Logano show speed. We've also seen Ryan Blaney show speed. So at the end of the day, I got to go with a guy that I think can go and find and maneuver a way to get it done and be there at the end. I take Ryan Blaney 1. 2 for me, you can't go to Daytona and not take this guy. You got to take Denny Hamlin in the 11. I mean, won it multiple times, going to chase history here. You know, I mean, it's just enough said, especially under team the way that Toyota is when we talk manufacturers teaming up and drafting together and pitting together. Toyota is that one that is under teamed. I mean, Chevrolet's got a lot of guys. Ford has a lot of guys. Toyota's that one that doesn't, and what Denny Hamlin's able to do on these super speedways is just awesome. So you can't go without taking him in that top 5, so I'll go ahead and take him second. 3 for me, Chase the Bulldog Elliott. Come on, man. He's won a couple super speedway races. Barring any trouble, staying out of trouble, I think you're going to see him there contend, and maybe he gets that first 500 win. I mean, that's just going to add to the legacy of what he does. I think that, you know, there's a lot of young guys in the sport that have a lot of talent. I'm a Chase fan. I'm always going to be biased. I'm always going to be pulling for him. That's just how I roll. So I got to put him third on that list, man. We'll see what he gets done. 4 for me, I mentioned it earlier, a guy that kind of needs this checked off on the resume to, you know, put himself in that GOAT conversation. I mean, he already kind of is, but there again, Kyle Busch, got to get a 500 win. I think that joining Chevrolet and RCR camp, you got a lot of people to work with. It's not exactly his forte. I know he's got wins on the super speedways. We've all seen him do that, but at the end of the day, I think he's hungry. I think the fire's relit. Hey, man, he could go out and capture his first 500 right here this Sunday. 5 for me has got to be the 22 car of Joey Logano, last year's champion, has a knack again for super speedway racing. A Penske Ford, again, Ford always seems to have speed on this style of racing, you know, maneuverability as well. He's one of the best guys to block the field. I mean, he knows how to read the moves and the spotter working together. I mean, he knows how to block cleanly. A little bit late at times as we get later in the race, but everybody does that. But at the end of the day, you really have to see it go down, man. It's going to be an awesome, awesome time. 22, 5 for me. So dark horses, I've got a couple. I got 3. Bubba Wallace has got to be one. It's not really too dark of a dark horse. I mean, we all know that he runs really good at restrictor plate racing. He does a lot of good stuff. You know, he's just awesome at this style. So I got to take him up there. Eric Jones in that 43 over there in that Petty camp. I mean, I think that the addition of Jimmy Johnson is going to help, but Eric Jones won the Clash at Daytona, man. I mean, he knows how to do it as well, knows how to, you know, get up there and stay out of trouble, and I think that's the key. If he can stay out of trouble, good pit stops, no mistakes on pit road, 43 car might be back in the lane Daytona 500 on the 75th year anniversary. It'd be a cool piece of history. And last but not least, I think a lot of guys that people wrote off, Brad Keselowski in that 6 camp. I think that if there's a race or style racing that you circle the 6 at, it's definitely Talladega, Daytona, Atlanta now. They got speed. You know, he's got a knack to figure out how he does his thing as well. So at the end of the day, you got to be watching out for Keselowski, man. So getting right into that next segment, man, the money line presented by Redfin Polarized. Like I like to say, man, whether you got money on the line or a wall hanger, make sure you see it clearly with the best polarized sunglasses on the planet. Redfin, man, Italian-made frames, Carl Zeiss, you know, lenses. I mean, dude, they awesome, awesome sunglasses. My favorite pair of sunglasses I've ever owned. Make sure you check it out. Like I say, whether you're on the water, in the woods, make sure you got Redfin, man. Live life fins up for sure. Like I say all the time, make sure you go check their website out. 15% off at checkout, man. Rubbing and grubbing. Make sure you use it. I'm telling you, this is the best sunglasses I've found out there. Awesome quality. Awesome company, man. Just make sure you go check them out. That's Redfin Polarized. Live life fins up for sure. So getting into that money line, like I said, this one's really difficult. I mean, you kind of want to throw the Hail Mary because anybody can win this style of racing. But after last week, we went up good last week, man. We took Martin Truex Jr. for the win there at the Clash, one of our drivers. We put 100 units or 125 units in and walked away with 350, man. So we're up on the year. We're going to throw the same amount into it this week, 100 to 125, 125 units, 25 unit increments. I'm looking at favorites, man. I'm looking at guys that are going to run strong, obviously. Ryan Blaney, Chase Elliott, Kyle Busch, Joey Logano, those have got to be clear-cut favorites to take. Now, that last guy, if you're looking through the odds, I mean, Martin Truex Jr. got some momentum. His odds are a little bit better than those guys. He's been close before. He might get it done this time. But I'm looking even deeper in the field. Like I said, I'm looking at Eric Jones, Bubba Wallace, Austin Dillon. We might even throw the Hail Mary out there with a Corey LaJoie or, a first-time guy. I mean, who knows, but at the end of the day, if you're going to go for the Hail Mary and the big bucks, you've got to do it at Daytona, Talladega, Atlanta. You've got to do it at one of those style races. So we'll keep you posted next week and let you know how we do. But right now, to the good this season. Doing good. Starting it off in the positive, which is always great. And hopefully we rack it back up and go 2 for 2 this week at Daytona. So before we get into it, in the hard right turn, got to give a big shout out to Lamar's Body Shop sponsorship for that hard right turn. Lamar's been servicing the Savannah area for 35 plus years, man. I always like to say it doesn't matter what it is you're looking for, the best can be found over there at Lamar's. 2301 Skidaway Road, so it's a hop, skip, and a jump from Coaches. Again, 2301 Skidaway, Lamar's Body Shop. Make sure you check it out. Taking care of all your automotive body needs, servicing this area, like I said, 35 plus years. As I always like to say, man, why settle for par? Go see Lamar, man. Love you, dude. So getting into that hard right turn, man, and it's got to do with NASCAR making changes. And they've been making changes since the COVID pandemic, and this is what I'm bringing up. So we know that California is not going to be on the schedule for 2024. We also know Texas is getting ready to be rescheduled for a reconfigure or an update or something going on there. So where do we go? What do we do to fill the void, right? I say we go to Rockingham. I say it's getting a repave, man. It's going to be the same style thing like going to North Wilkesboro for that All-Star race. I say we throw the Rock in there instead of Auto Club. I know it's coming back over, or we reworked that schedule to fit Rockingham back in. It's a very unique style racetrack. It's got its own characteristics. It's a smaller venue, we know, but NASCAR's packed it out and sold it out for years. So let's go ahead and get that one back on the schedule at least for 2024. Bring some money, bring some revenue into that part of the country. It's just an awesome, awesome racetrack. There again, you want my thoughts on what we should do with Texas? We want more short track racing. All the fans call for more short tracks. Let's take the dirt back off of Bristol. Why we do that to one of the best races of the year, I have no idea. But let's take the dirt off. Let's wipe the dirt clean. We give Bristol back both its normal races. You know what we do with Texas? We build a 3/4 mile. We build a 1 mile dirt track, permanent NASCAR dirt track. That area of the country in dirt racing is big. Oklahoma, Texas, that whole area is huge. So why not build one to where you can do super late models, you can do midgets, you can do ARCA, you can do trucks, you can do Cup Series, build it, man. I mean, make that bad boy, a permanent 3/4, 1 mile dirt track. It would be awesome. I mean, that's just my opinion. We want change. We want to do things different. Let's work with what we got. Instead of going to different venues, let's do that. There again, I think that the Clash, I think that after the contract's up there in LA, I think that can be moved around. I think you could go to Texas. I think you could go to the Northwest, to where you don't have racetracks. You've got different eyes. You've got fans in that area that want to see a race there. So I think that with what they do in the 1/4 mile setup, you can take that traveling and do it anywhere. I don't want to see it ever become a point-paying race. I want to see it moved around. I want to see different venues there again in different parts. I know New York's in talks for another street race. I'm not a fan of it. I haven't seen it yet on Chicago. I'm not going to down it, but to me, that's not what NASCAR is. There's a lot of fans in my generation that probably feel the same way, and there's probably younger ones out there that think it's cool. So I don't know what the right call is for it. But at the end of the day, I think that we can take some of the tracks that we have now, and if we want to revamp the sport and do something new, we can definitely change it. The fans that are out there that complain when NASCAR tries to do something new, which I'm one of them, I will complain a little bit with some of the things they do. I think we just got to take a step back and applaud them for what they are trying to do. I think that sometimes they shoot a little bit above their head. I think that we should stay in the realm of building the sport back up to what it was there with that fan base in the late 90s, early 2000s, mid 2000s there. I mean, that we were selling out 100+ thousand racetracks. So I think that we have to get the support under the sport before we start making all these huge major changes. That's just my thought on it. But there again, like I said, Texas to a 3/4 mile, 1 mile dirt track permanently. bring the Rock back on the schedule, man. We want to see it. We got North Wilkesboro coming back for an all-star event. Maybe add it back in a lower series, or even, you know, build it up to be something a little bit bigger for the Cups, or hold the all-star race there. Whatever you want to do is fine with me. But I think we got to get some history back into it. We got to make our own new history, and we can't shoot ourselves in the foot by moving too quick, too far ahead. So just my thoughts on it. So that's going to wrap it up for the rubbing part. We're moving on to the grubbing part, and I got a little specialty here, man. It's it's going to be pretty good. We got some sliders, man, and these are different sliders. We do sliders all the time. It's one of my favorite things on the menu. So we got the pork sliders, man. Pulled barbecue pork, barbecue sauce, got some cheese on there, got a pickle, got a little side of baked beans in there, man. These things are going to be delicious. I cannot wait to get off. I'm going to tear these down. Like I say all the time, if you haven't been to Coach's Corner and eaten here, you have to come up. There's not one bad thing on the menu. They pretty much do it a million different ways. If you want to change this, change that, they'll accommodate it and make it happen, man. The kitchen staff and John and Adele Henderson rock it out bad. There is not one bad thing on this menu at all. So make sure you guys, if you haven't yet, come up here, grab something to eat, some buddies after work, after lunch, grab some food, grab some cold beers. Coach's Corner, the center of the universe, Thunderbolt, Georgia, y'all. Got to give a big shout out to Coach's Corner Sports Network as well, man. The man, the myth, the legend himself, Coach Carl DeMasi, in that Prep Sports Report, coming to you live right here at Coach's every Saturday, 9 until, it usually runs an hour and a half sometimes. Atlanta Man will be on this weekend. I'll be joining Coach, man, to talk a little bit about the Daytona 500, give some picks out there, just kind of, you know, shoot it back and forth with them. And I always make sure I tune in. So if you haven't, make sure you tune into that. We know baseball season, spring training is not far. Coach DeMasi, you know, who's on first base, is always going to be bringing you up-to-date news with that MLB. Who's hot, who's not, the standings, trade deadlines, all the stuff, man. Yeah. Sean Irvin in the house, y'all. Give a big shout out for Sean. Oh, you also got 19th hole coming up. Masters isn't far away, man. So you got the Herb brothers coming up. Sean Irvin, them doing the 19th hole. Them boys there are wild. That is probably the craziest show that gets put on here at Coach's. A whole, you know, 4 days of just nothing but crazy golfness, golf news, keeping you up to date on the Masters. Them boys drinking it up, doing their thing over here in John Henderson's Caddy Shack. Awesome, awesome deal, man. So before I get out of here, like I said, got to give a big shout out and thanks to John and Adele Henderson and everybody here at Coach's for allowing me and everybody to do the shows, man. I tell you, it is the staple of the Savannah area. Such good people, man. The things that they do for this community is just amazing. All the staff, everybody, the Coach's family that's involved, just glad to be a part of it, man. Hope everybody's having a great Wednesday night. As I always like to say, make sure you hug your loved ones, man. Give them a kiss. Tomorrow is never given. You never know. Make sure you guys have a great Wednesday night. Stay safe. Tune in Sunday for the Daytona 500, 75th year anniversary, NASCAR. Got a great season. Make sure you tune in every Wednesday, rubbing and grubbing. Oh, I missed it, man. That's the first time that ever happened. But make sure you guys stay tuned in. And as always, y'all, boom. Wash your hands, y'all. Love you.